Bismillah. In alhamdulillah. That speaker is not on. I gotta find out what's wrong with that one. That's not on. In alhamdulillah. نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم يغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وأحسن هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة كل ضلالة في النار. We continue in the explanation of Buloogh al-Maraam by the great illustrious scholar al-Hafiz Ahmed ibn Ali ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah, the one who died 852 after the hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam. We were speaking about the hadith in regards to Zawaj al-Mut'ah, in regards to temporary marriage. We talked about all the different narrations in which it's been prohibited for one to indulge in temporary marriage, and that is something that is unlawful, and it will stand to be unlawful all the way up to the day of resurrection. We clarify all the ahadith in this regard that has been reported and authentically reported upon the noble Sahabi from the Khulafa al-Rashideen, from the great Caliphates from this ummah. From them is Ali ibn Abi Talib Abu al-Hasan al-Hashimi radiyallahu anhu ardah. And that we talked about how he clarified to Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu this affair of Zawaj al-Mut'ah, which comes in Sahih Muslim. That we said, number one, that temporary marriage is impermissible. And the great illustrious scholar from the Imma these days and times also likewise narrated this story, which is on the authority of, or came on the authority of Ali ibn Abi Talib. He says, لما ناظر ابن عباس مناظرة تامة حتى قال له إنك رجل تائه. That Ali ibn Abi Talib, that he engaged with that discussion with Ibn Abbas, because Ibn Abbas has said that the zawaj or temporary marriage was what? We said last week that Ibn Abbas mentioned and said that it was in a case that if it was a dire or a very stressful, or not, we would say darura, like if it was a very extreme circumstance. Because a darura is just not something they say that's a hardship. Some people think hardship. Darura is that ma yalzam minhu talaf. That if it's not done, then it can mean that one will fall into destruction. But darura, the meaning of the word darura is like an extreme circumstance. Like an extreme circumstance where if one does not attain that certain thing, then it will come as a result of it destruction. That's what darura means. So Ibn Abbas said that it could be done in this situation. We're not going to say it's halal, but Ibn Abbas had said that Zawaj al-Mut'ah, that it could be done the ajid darura. That's what he said. This is his statement. Ibn Abbas was speaking to Ali ibn Abi Talib, and Ibn Abi Talib had clarified to him that the Prophet ﷺ had made it unlawful, and he also likewise was stern with Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu. It says, ثم إن ابن عباس اختلف الناقلون هل أباحها للضرورة أو إباحة مطلقة. That Ibn Abbas, it says you'll find that those who related the narration upon Ibn Abbas, did they say that one could do it, or Ibn Abbas said that one could do it for darura, or did he just say that it was done, it could be done in all circumstances? He said that which is mashhur. The great Imam Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen said, بل الذي عليه المحققون أنه أباحها للضرورة. That Ibn Abbas has said that one could do it for darura. We said darura is what, everyone? An extreme circumstance. الذي يلزم منه التلف. That it necessitates from it destruction. إذا كان الإنسان في بلد, for example, if a person is in a city and he was forced to do it, meaning he came to some remote, far distant place, and he was forced to do it because out of fear of falling into zina, out of fear of falling into fornication. The here Ibn Abbas said, no problem. However, لكنه لما رأى الناس توسعوا في هذا الأمر وصار كل واحد يدعي الضرورة رجع عن فتواه. He says, however, he said when the people started expanding and they really started to branch out in this affair, meaning they started to really claim that every circumstance was this extreme situation. He says when this happened, he said that everyone started to claim that the circumstance they were under was a darura. He said then he retracted his fatwa. He retracted the religious ruling, and Ibn Abbas had agreed with the Jama'ah. He agreed with the Sahaba who knew that this affair was unlawful. He says, أما العلماء من بعتهم فإن المشهور عند الشيعة أنهم يحلون ذلك. Well, what's strange is you'll find that a lot of the Shia, from those who are upon, or from the Rawafid of the Shia, that still to this day they practice this matter. Even though the one you'll find in so many different narrations who actually brought the actual hukum or the ruling was Ali ibn Abi Talib, who they so-called claim that they glorify, or they say that he's from the prominent. Rather, you'll find the extreme from them that said he was the one that is more deserving of nubuwah, of prophethood, more than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Despite of that, they still practice this. Taib. So where are they with these narrations? If you look in Buloogh al-Maraam, it says what? Ali is the one who narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited temporary marriage. And likewise, you'll find a narration which is a Sahih Muslim, where the Prophet, where Ali ibn Abi Talib corrected Ibn Abbas about temporary marriage. So you'll find that they do not glorify Ali, rather it's just a mere claim with no reality to it. We also talked about in the last lesson, or this is where we stopped, the difference between what they call zawaj al-mut'ah and az-zawaj bi niyyat al-talaq. What they call temporary marriage and the marriage with the intention of divorce. There's a lot of people, or some people, think that they're the same. And we said they're not the same. Zawaj al-mut'ah, or marriage that is temporary, meaning that all of the parties are upon clarity. Meaning the man makes a stipulation, a contract that he will be married to a woman for a period of time, and the woman agrees to it. And likewise, the wali al-amr, or the woman, or excuse me, the man who's in charge of the woman, likewise agrees. So the man agrees, or the man who's in charge of the affair of the woman agrees, and likewise the woman, what? She agrees herself. So all of them are upon clarity as far as how long the marriage is going to last. For example, I'm going to marry you for 3 months, 2 months. It's a stipulation made in the contract, and it's clear. If all the parties agree upon that, that's called zawaj al-mut'ah. That's called the marriage, or that's what's called temporary marriage, where all the terms or all the stipulations are clarified, and everybody is upon clarity of as far as what's going to take place in the marriage. So that's the reason why we said this is one of the differences between zawaj al-mut'ah and what they call az-zawaj bi niyyat al-talaq, which is called temporary marriage, and the difference between temporary marriage and az-zawaj bi niyyat al-talaq. As far as the marriage with the intention of divorce, then the woman doesn't know, nor does the wali, or the wakil, know. the man who's in charge of the affair of the woman, likewise, he doesn't know either. So the only one that truly knows his niyyah is the man that's getting married. So this is a big difference between zawaj al-mut'ah and what they call zawaj bi niyyat al-talaq. So this is the difference, or one of the differences. So we talked about, is it permissible as far as zawaj al-mut'ah of the temporary marriage? We said that's clear. All the texts of nusus, all the texts of the Prophet ﷺ clarifying the prohibition of temporary marriage is clear. Ali ibn Abi Talib, we have the hadith of Salama ibn al-Akwa', then we have the hadith of Rabi' ibn Sabrah upon his father, that the Prophet ﷺ prohibited temporary marriage. What about the marriage with the intention of divorce? As this has been a matter that has been plagued, who the Muslims have been plagued by this in a lot of different countries and a lot of different areas. Men that marry certain women, but his intention is to divorce. What is the opinion of Ahl al-Ilm in this regard? Excuse my back. You'll find that the great Imam Ibn Uthaymeen mentioned this regard likewise. He says, what do we say regarding this type of marriage? A man hides his niyyah, he hides his intention to merely marry the woman, and after a certain period of time, he divorces her. He says, fil mashhur, what is most known and famous with the madhab of the Imam Ahmed, he says, anna dhalika haram, that is impermissible and it's unlawful. And they say the reasons for this is due to two. Number one is a dalil, is the evidence from either the kitab and the sunnah, and the second dalil is what they call qiyas. They call it an analogy, meaning that it's similar to something else. As for the dalil for this, he says, فَقَالُوا إِنَّ النَّبِيَّ صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إنما الأعمال بالنيات وهذا نوى نكاحا مؤجلا فثبت له ما نوى وأما القياس فقالوا إن الإنسان إذا تزوج امرأة فلتحليلها لمطلقها ثلاثا بالنية لا بالشرط فإن النكاح يكون فاسدا كما لو شرط ذلك في العقد قالوا فإذا كان نكاح التحليل يثبت بالنية فكذلك نكاح المتعة to the end of it. He said that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned and said, verily actions are based upon intentions. So that's the first dalil to say that marriage with the intention of divorce is impermissible. He said that this person who wanted to perform this marriage, he intended a nikah mu'ajjal. He intended a nikah, a marriage that's for an appointed time. So it's been affirmed and established for him what he intended. He says, as for the analogy to say that it's the qiyas, to say that this affair is like or similar to something else, then they say that this zawaj, إن الإنسان إذا تزوج امرأة لتحليلها لمطلقها ثلاثة بالنية بالشرط فإن النكاح يكون فاسدا. Then they say that it's similar to what they call nikah al-tahleel. Nikah al-tahleel. This nikah al-tahleel means to get married in order to make a woman lawful for her prior husband. They say it's similar to this. That's coming in the next hadith. If you look in your books, it says it. Well, Ibn Mas'ud, that the Prophet ﷺ cursed the man who's muhallil. He cursed the man who's what? Muhallil. That he marries a woman, have sex with her, then divorce her in order to return back to her what? Prior husband. That's going to come. But anyway, the Shaykh is making a point here. He says similar, for example, to a man that he marries a woman in order to make her halal. You understand, everyone? To make her halal. For the man that divorced her 3 times. Bin niyah, la bishart. He says that marriage, of course, nikah tahleel, the man already has the intention, a hidden intention in order to what? Just marry her, to enjoy her for a short period of time, so she could go back to her what? Prior husband. He said, فَإِنَّ النِّكَاحِ يَكُنْ فَاسِدًا. You will notice that this type of marriage likewise is invalid. كَمَا لَوْ شَرَطَ ذَلِكَ فِي الْعَقْدِ. Just as if he was to make that a condition in the contract. قالوا, they said, he says, if the marriage, what they call tahleel, of making a woman lawful for the prior husband, tahleel. If that has been established with just a mere intention, likewise, nikah al-mut'ah, or the marriage of, likewise, the temporary marriage is similar to that. It's likewise like that. مع أن التزوج في نكاح التحليل لا يعلم أهل الزوجة ماذا يريد هذا الزوج. وأما الذين قالوا بالجواز فقالوا إن الفرق بينه وبين النكاح المتعة أن النكاح المتعة إذا تم الأجل انفسخ النكاح بمقتضى الشرط. For verily, even though التزوج في نكاح التحليل, for a person that marries a woman in order to make her permissible for her ex-husband, he says that the family of the wife and the father or the brother, they don't know what the husband is intended. So basically, just to sum up what Shaykh Uthaymeen is mentioning here, is he says like an analogy that nikah biniyat al-talaq is similar to nikah al-tahleel as far as in the niyyah. That temporary marriage is similar to marriage with the intention of divorce as far as in the intention. It's similar to that. Because the woman does not know what's being intended, nor did a what? Well, in some instances here, in these days and times, people do know, they still do it. But, تفضل. The woman knows that the man is just marrying her just so he can make her halal. Same thing. Absolutely. Absolutely. طيب, so it says الذي اشترطه الزوج على نفسه واشترطه المرأة أيضا لنفسها وأما النية فإنه لا ينفسخ النكاح. There is some people that say it's permissible and there's evidence and proofs, but what you'll find, just to sum it up because I don't want to make it too long-winded, that I did hear even when I was in 2004, when I was in al-Madinah. Was it 2005? When I was in Masjid Bani Salama, which is known as the masjid now as Masjid al-Qiblatayn. Masjid al-Qiblatayn, which is in al-Madinah, at Tariq al-Da'iri, everybody knows where it is. But the masjid is called Masjid Bani Salama. And Sheikh Sulaiman Ruhaili was given a lesson there. This is back in 2004. And he mentioned and said the same thing, that zawaj biniyat al-talaq, marriage with the intention of divorce, he says likewise impermissible. And you'll find Ibn Uthaymeen likewise says the exact same thing, that is not permissible. Also likewise you'll find the great Imam, the great illustrious scholar from the A'imma of these days and times, Muhammad Nasruddin al-Albani, when he was, not say debating, I always say debating, but it was kind of like a little debate, I'll say it was a discussion, a munaqasha, it was a discussion. And he was talking to a person and addressing him about this issue. And he said the exact same argument, what Ibn Uthaymeen mentions. It says that would you like for someone to do this to your daughter? That someone or a man came and he's hiding his intention. And of course, you was a man that raised your daughter and you were working day and night and make sure that she was properly maintained. And you tried to give her the proper cultivation and raising her and instilling her manners. And you going out working day and night in order to make sure that she's well maintained in regards to her living quarters and having a place to stay and having a roof over her head and giving her food day and night, until when she's ready for marriage, a man comes and messes up her virginity within one night, and he stays married to her for 2 months and then he divorces her. How would you feel? How would you want that for someone to do that to your daughter? And the man, of course, said no. He said, so why would you do that to someone else's daughter? And a lot of us in these days and times, we need to apply that same fiqh in a lot of instances in regards to dealing with women. If we was to deal with women in light of how we want people to deal with our daughters, we would abstain from doing a lot of things. We would abstain from doing a lot of things that we indulge in as far as how we treat these women these days. So that's the reason why we tell people, if you want it and you please for it yourself, and you will want someone to do that to your daughter, then by all means, okay. If you feel that way. If you want a woman to be a putty or be a play toy in the hands of men, That any man comes in, he just plays around with her for 2 or 3 months, and then she gets handed over to another man. He does likewise the same, and then gets handed over to another man, and likewise the same. If you're pleased with that, we're not saying by all means, but if you're pleased with that, then okay. Then be ready for how you did with women. Then more than likely, like we said, it comes back on you. Like we talked about before, we don't believe in karma. We don't believe in that batil, corrupt, or aqidah called karma, which is a type of belief of those, what is the name of those practice yoga? Those people who believe in karma, that it comes back around, how you deal comes back around. We don't believe in that. But however, Ahl Sunnah wa Ahl Haqq, what we believe in is called al-Jaza' min jins al-amal. Al-Jaza' min jins al-amal. That repayment is from the actions that you did. That repayment is from based upon your actions or the actions that you put forth. That's what we believe in. So if a person is willing and ready for that, then, like we said, how you treat women, and then like when we have daughters, because a lot of us have daughters. A lot of us that are married in these communities, a lot of communities in, whether they be in New Jersey or Philadelphia, or even here in the DMV, we have daughters, a lot of us. And a lot of us are starting to grow up and find that it's hard for our daughters to find proper men to take care of them. Because, like we said, a lot of the men that are coming, they think that women is just a mere joke. They're just like basically toys to be satisfied sexually as far as the pleasure, and that's it. But like we said, we remind our brothers, apply this fiqh in a lot of aspects. And we would abstain from doing a lot of things that we shouldn't be doing. Especially, for example, domestic abuse. Also, likewise, treating a woman or mentally abusing her or emotionally abusing her. Because we wouldn't want anyone to be doing this to our daughters. To be playing mind games with them. Talking and criticizing and down on them of their weight. Saying, you fat, and I don't like you anymore. Putting their hands on them. Domestically abusing them. All these different affairs that if we used to apply this fiqh of treating a woman how we would want our daughters to be treated, like I said, a lot of things would be removed in our households. We wouldn't be indulging in none of these matters that is not befitting for the Muslims to be indulging in. طيب. So then the Shaykh he goes on to say, فَإِذَا قَالَ قَائِلْ الْقَوْلُ بِالْجَوَازِ فِيهِ فُسْحَةٌ لِلْغُرَبَاءِ وَفِيهِ مَنْعٌ لَهُمْ عَنِ الزِّنَا. He says, what about a person might say, the statement we can say it's permissible because it's a fusha lil ghuraba. He says it's given a break and making things easy for those who are distance travelers in remote places or ghuraba, or people that might come from another country to another land and they need to be, make things facilitated, made easy for them. And in it also likewise is a prevention for them to falling into zina. It's a deterrent or prevention for them to falling into zina. Ibn Uthaymeen mentions this, or he answers this question by saying, number one, he said, إن دواء خوف الزنا بينه الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال يا معشر الشباب من استطاع منكم الباء فليتزوج ومن لم يستطع فعليه بالصوم. O youth, O young ones, whoever from amongst you is able that ba'ah, meaning to have their ability as far as in their body and their wealth and in their bodies, let him get married. And if he's not able, then let him fast. Then the Shaykh goes on to say, الشارح فأنت إذا كنت مستطيعا للنكاح الصحيح فتزوج بنكاح صحيح لا بنية أنه سيطلقها. He said, for you, if you're able to marry a marriage that is correct, to get married with a marriage that is valid and correct. Do not have the intention that if you used to get married that you're going to divorce her. That was your initial primary intention from the beginning. Was, as we say, back from the 80s, from the giddy up. Right, everyone? That was your intention. He said, فَإِذَا كُنْتَ غَيْرَ مُسْتَطِيعٍ فَعَلَيْكَ بِالصَّوْمِ. If you're not able to let him fast. This is what the Messenger of Allah ﷺ clarified. As for the one now that wants to commit some type of prohibition, in order just to please his desires or satisfy his desires, because he's afraid of fitna, كما يقول, as they say, then this is not correct. He says, خوف الفتنة بين لنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم دواءه فلنأخذ بهذا الدواء. He says, as far as the fear out of trials and tribulations, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم clarified it, made it clear what is the medicine and the remedy. Then let us take and accept this remedy and this medicine. As for the person that now was to take off or commit a prohibition and now deceive people and to cheat them, he said, for verily, this is not sadid. This is not correct. He said, for now, we go back to the regards to the rest of the ahkam as far as in temporary marriage. So basically, the Shaykh is summing up this to say, so we can make it concise and straight to the point. The Shaykh here is saying that is what? Marriage with the intention of divorce is unlawful. It's not permissible to do this. And like I said, I've known a lot of brothers, and I've been dealing with this since the 90s, even in Philadelphia. Brothers that were doing this, and we would advise them not to do it. And they still say, there's some ilm that say it to do it. And I always use the argument, just as Imam al-Albani says, would you like for someone to do this to your daughter? Like I said, to make her lose one of the most precious things with a woman, well, in these days at times in America it isn't, but back when people had honor, the most precious thing to a woman was her virginity. That was one of the most precious things with these women. Now these days at times it's one of the most pathetic things in this country. This country is, you're a weirdo. If a woman has, you still a virgin now these days, or you a weirdo? Are you? Look how it's a shame, but look at the days, it's how they are now. It's very sad to see these honorable immorality is glorified and the decency is glorified, and that which is supposed to be, which is to have morals, integrity, is looked down upon. And you're considered weird and strange. But at any rate, the Prophet ﷺ clarified this, and he says, for verily cheating is not correct. Or cheating, or this is considered cheating, meaning the intention to divorce, is not correct. He said, for now we go back to the masala. So let's go back to the topic at hand. He says, الآن نعود لبقية الحكم في تحريم نكاح المتعة. Now let's go back to the rest of the reasons for the prohibition of temporary marriage. He says, إن فيها مخالفة لمقصود النكاح لأن مقصود النكاح الألفة وبناء البيت الزوجي والحصول على الأولاد، وهذا أعني نكاح المتعة لا يشتمل على هذه الحكمة. لماذا؟ لأن الزوج نفسه يشعر بأنه مفارق لهذه الزوجة، فلا تحصل الألفة التي يطمئن بها القلب لا بين الزوج ولا بين الزوجة. تلا أنه وليسار رحمه الله. Listen to what he goes on to say. He said, for verily in temporary marriage, in it is an opposition for the intention of marriage. For verily the intent of marriage is ulfa, is to bring that unification, that love, and to build a family structure or a marital structure, a bayt az-zawji, a marital structure. And also likewise for one to attain that progeny or to continue his lineage by having children. Meaning that nikah al-muta'a, temporary marriage, that it is in contrast to this and opposes these reasons. He says, فَلَا يَشْتَمِلُ is not comprehensive for all these different types of wisdoms of why marriage was what? Legislated. يَدَ الزَّوْجِ نَفْسَهُ يَشْعُرُ بِأَنَّهُ مُفَارِقْ لِهَذِهِ الزَّوْجَةِ. Why? Because the husband himself or the spouse himself, he has the feeling that he's going to depart from this wife. It's not going to be his wife anymore. For that reason, love and also likewise him feeling that ease in his heart, he says it won't take place between the two spouses. Number two, somebody come in the door. Number two, another reason why nikah al-mut'ah, is it lot? It's a lot. No. Close it. No. Say it again. No. Number two, another reason why temporary marriage is unlawful. أن الزوج في هذه الحال سيحاول بقدر الاستطاعة أن لا تلد المرأة لأنها مفارقة عن قرب فسيحاول أن لا يأتيه أولاد وحينئذ تضيع هذه المياه التي كانت بصدد أن تنجب أولادا بدون فائدة. So the first reason we say that temporary marriage is in contrast to what everyone? It's in contrast to the aghrad, or the intentions behind marriage. The intentions is for ulfa to take place, unification and love. And also likewise, bringing families together and to build a marital structure or a family structure. For temporary marriage destroys that. Because, like we said, the contract was stimulated in it is that it's only going to be valid for an appointed time. After that, it dissolves and it's over. So that ulfa, or the building of family structure to the end of it, has been totally lost. It's done. Secondly, also likewise, for a man that wants to be married to a woman temporarily, he's going to put forth his utmost in order not for her to give birth to children. To give birth to children. Why? Because she knows he's going to what, or he or she is going to depart from one another. So he's going to do his best for her not to have children. And what will come as a result of it, this what, or this type of he says the miyah, or the sperm in which is used in order for children to be, or in order for reproduction to take place, it will be wasted without any what benefit. He says, thirdly, why this marriage is impermissible. He said, for verily in it is likewise is a tremendous evil for women. لأن الرجل الذي يريد يتزوج نكاح المتعة ليس له حد معين في هذا العدد. Of course we know in regards to temporary marriage, he said there's no boundary or there's no bounded number of how many you can have as far as temporary marriage. For a man can enjoy women in one night, he says, with 10 women. And marry in 1 month, marry in one period of time, in 1 month, maybe 300. And all of them will lose their virginity. And then all of the virginity that's lost, it will go without any what? Benefit. So it's to show that back in these days and times, especially alhamdulillah in Saudi and in a lot of different countries, and with a lot of the families who are practicing, who are upon uprightness, of course we still deem a woman to maintain their virginity to be something tremendous and precious. And something that has high value and high standards. But of course, those who have been affected by the ideologies of the West, then these matters don't mean anything to them. Woman being virgin, not a virgin, at the end of the day, who cares? Rather, you'll find the opposite. You'll find a man that wants to be with a woman that has been with 20 different men, 30 different men, 40 different men, and they'll say that she's what? She's special. You know, she knows what she's doing. And we hear this nonsense. Yes. So we say that in regards to now, these days and times, the wicked immorality that we see these days is glorified. And that which is of shyness and modesty and the most precious, or one of the most precious things that women possess, that they work diligently to maintain and to also remain chaste or chaste, they lose that. And what comes as a result of it, you'll find in some countries, from their culture, that a woman that is not married anymore or loses her virginity, they don't want to marry her. Of course, in America, anything goes here. But we're talking about in other different countries. There are some countries out there that if a woman loses her virginity, they don't want to marry her anymore. They don't want to marry her anymore. So if a woman that indulges now, or a woman that was a victim to a man that just wanted to marry her with this type of marriage, or she was involved in a zawaj al-muta'ah, temporary marriage, she loses her virginity, then she'll find that she has to sit her whole life without what? Getting married again. So hence, in this instance, she will be what? Subjected to immorality and to falling into reprehensible matters such as zina, such as fornication and other than that. In order to what? In order to satisfy her desires, or in order for her to attain some type of comfort with a man, that she will have to fall into something unlawful. So that's the reason. That's another reason why temporary marriage is what? Unlawful. Secondly, he says likewise, this is the third reason. Also likewise, zawaj al-mut'ah, why it's impermissible. He said, أن فيها إهانة للمرأة وإهدار لكرامتها لأن هذا المتمتع أصبح كالتيس بين الغنم لا يبالي بالنساء ولا يهتم بهن كأنه سلط عليهن لقضاء وطره فقط. To the end of it. He said, verily in this likewise is humiliation for the woman, and also removing her honor and her nobility. Because this man that's indulging in tamattu' or just wants to satisfy his desires, he says, أصبح كالتيس بين الغنم لا يبالي بالنساء. The man becomes like a person, he's like a person preying on a woman that he doesn't really care at the end of the day. Doesn't care. He says as if he's been given power over them in order just to satisfy his desires only. Also, the final evil, and the hukum we clarify for why temporary marriage is unlawful, is the last one. Where I want everybody to be attentive, or be very attentive in this, because the ahkam in regards to zawaj, all of it has been nullified. For example, everything that comes, the responsibilities that men have to take on after they become married, all of it is lost in temporary marriage. Every single last one of it. For a woman now, she's just a place to just be just what? A mahal muta. That she's just a pleasurable type of toy. That's it. She's now become like a toy where she's just utilized to satisfy men's desires, and that's it. He says, "Duna an tatarattaba ahkam an-nikah alayhi." He says, without there being the ahkam, or the rules in regards to marriage, coming as a result of it. Similarly to that which is, for example, inheritance. Because a woman, when she gets married to a man, she's entitled to what? Inheritance. That's lost in zawaj al-mut'ah. That's lost in what? Temporary marriage. Also likewise, al-mahr. Also likewise, the dowry. Also likewise, the children. Children will not have a father. They will not be in a proper household where there will be both spouses to raise the child. Also, the children will be lost from the father. And other than that, he says all of these things will be what? Lost. وَهَذَا لَا شَكْ, this is damar. All of this is destruction. That's the reason why from hikmah Allah Ta'ala that He made impermissible, or he prohibited temporary marriage in the hadith of Sabra, which is the last in your books if you look at it, where the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned and said what we're going to mention here now. Where it says, إِنِّي كُنْتُ أَذِنْتُ لَكُمْ بِالِاسْتِمْتَاعِ بِالنِّسَاءِ وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ حَرَّمَ ذَلِكَ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ فَمَنْ كَانَ عِنْدَهُنَّ شَيْءٌ فَلْيُخْلِ سَبِيلَهَا وَلَا تَأْخُذُوا مِمَّا آتَيْتُمُوهُنَّ شَيْئًا. أخرجه Muslim, to the end of it. But the Prophet ﷺ mentioned and said, verily I have given you permission to enjoy those women. I did give you permission at one time. As we talked about the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ has said it was lawful for 3 days, and then it was what? Then it was abrogated. And then it became unlawful permanently. Which says, verily Allah has made unlawful, prohibited this, verily I used to give you permission to enjoy those women, meaning temporary marriage. For verily Allah has made it unlawful, that affair, all the way up to the day of resurrection. So whoever has with him those women that he indulged in that affair, of course, he said, then let her go. فَلْيُخْلِي سَبِيلَهَا. Let her go. Let her go about her way. And do not take back that which you had given them of anything in the least. So, in regards to what the Prophet ﷺ mentioned here, as we know, this was extracted by the Sab'ah. And from them was in the Sahih, in Muslim, Sahih Muslim. So the narration, bi'idhnillah, is authentic. So this last narration is, what time is it? 2:07, okay. So this last narration, it said, someone could get me some batteries. I think the microphone's about to die. It's on red. I mean, it's about to die. It says, نهى عن متعة النساء احترازا من متعة الحج. So the Prophet ﷺ had prohibited mut'at al-nisa. As we know, there are two types of mut'ah. There are two types of marriage. Jazakallah khair. Pro-sell? Pro-sell. Matter of fact, we'll stop here, inshallah. We'll stop here. The next hadith we'll take next week, bi'idhnillah. Rabi' ibn Sabra, because there's some ahkam I wanted to explain and give in detail in regards to this, but we'll stop here. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Any questions about the lesson, anyone? Any questions about the lesson? You can open it. Just slide under the door. Oh, let's just say slide under the door. Brothers, don't forget, sisters, don't forget that the class now, due to the kuffar playing with the time, the lesson now starts at 1 o'clock instead of 2. The hour up turned back last night, I think. Threw me off today myself. Happens to me every year. So the class starts at 1 o'clock. Class starts now at 1 o'clock. For those who are listening, the class starts now at 1 o'clock. Jazakumullah khair.